That's right. Everything is changing. It has been changed. Not just like changed now, but changed from the beginning of whatever it is that has changed. Hello friends, Jacob here. What a crazy video I have for you today. Mandela Effect is in full effect. I have compiled just a comprehensive list, absolute proof that these changes, many of them, there's no denying that something really, really crazy is going on. A whole new reality has opened up. Like Dorothy used to say, Toto, I don't think we're in Kansas anymore. Now she says, Toto, I have a feeling we're not in Kansas anymore. Either way, it's about to go down and the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain needs to be revealed. Buckle up, people. Don't forget to subscribe. I love you all.
Annual Academy Awards, David Letterman.
You know, someone once said that acting is the enchanted wand that turns words into magic. I'm talking about words like, I could have been a contender. Here's looking at you, kid. Life is like a box of chocolates. Life is like a box of chocolates.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
Life is like a box of chocolates. All shining examples of how a few simple words become cinematic legend. It's another blockbuster year for Hollywood, the motion picture Interview with a Vampire. The motion picture Interview with a Vampire.
Elliot Goldenthal for Interview with a Vampire.
I wanted Interview with the Vampire to be a departure. I wanted to, first of all, I always thought the vampire was the interesting one.
Picture Interview with a Vampire.
Hello friends, Jacob here. Thank you so much for pressing play. And please do subscribe if you haven't already. So listen, you know, I have been doing just a ton of research on the Mandela Effect, and it is so incredibly disturbing. Almost as disturbing as what the senior physicist over at CERN just said about how coming up in just a short couple of months, the LHC, the Hadron Collider, could unveil a whole new dimension. Actually, new dimensions was the word used. I mean, we're talking about opening up dark matter and opening up dark energy. And if you saw in the last video, there was actually a senior physicist that said, don't worry, if we open up a new dimension, it'll be only opened a little bit. So if there are any trapped fallen angels, you know, I got to worry about that. I don't know why they're talking about things like this and openly and on their website. But we all know that the Mandela effect that everyone is trying to discredit right now, and anybody who's doing videos on this and anyone who's doing any writing on this, you know that you're getting your share of people that are coming on and they're trying to discredit you and tell you what a fool you are and how you're just remembering things wrong. And you know what? Listen, I'd be lying to you if I said that I didn't think that that was a possibility. But after today's video, I got to tell you something. You may never, ever, ever look at this world again. This is really just compelling because so much has changed. And I've been scouring the web trying to find examples, and there's so many people out there, too many to credit because I've been taking stuff from all over the place, just kind of compiling a list. And all you have to do is Google Mandela Effect or effects, and you'll find all of these wonderful people that are doing their part to wake people up because we've been asleep. Okay, so let's first talk about the Forrest Gump line, okay? And I'm going to get into some stuff you haven't even heard yet. But the Forrest Gump line, life is like a box of chocolates. Now, a lot of people are saying that we just remembered it wrong. Well, you know what? At the Oscars, when David Letterman was hosting, he kind of makes it clear because he was talking about writers and how they come up with these wonderful lines that go down as historic memories, and that will always be a part of our lives, unless, of course, CERN opens a new reality. Take it away, David.
I'm talking about words like I could have been a contender. Here's looking at you, kid. Life is like a box of chocolates.
Now, ironically, that year, too, Interview with a Vampire was up for a couple of nods, and they didn't call it Interview with the Vampire. You'd usually want to get the title right at the Oscars.
Elliot Goldenthal for Interview with a Vampire.
They called it Interview with a Vampire, but not just them, also Anne Rice and the people that were in it.
I wanted Interview with the Vampire to be a departure.
Now that's just a little something. This video is going to blow your mind. I mean, we're talking about products that you thought you knew. We're talking about logos that are ingrained with the very nature of your being, like Coca-Cola. Picture the Coca-Cola logo, okay? The little Coca with the little swooshy little slash in the middle, and then Cola at the end. Well, guess what? There's never been that slash except for when it was created back in the 1800s. From 1900 on, it's been a little dot up at top. Take a look at that. Tell me if that looks right. But Coca-Cola's not the only logo. No. Yoo-hoo, one of my favorite drinks. Yoo-hoo also has that little dot up top. Now, I have 4 kids, and I love them so much. And I even hate using that word kid. You know, I got to point this out. I think it's ironic that, the worship of bats from that, right? I know that this is maybe a stretch, but the fact that we call our children kids, that's what little baby goats are. So why don't we start calling them children, okay? So forgive me for calling them kids. I have 4 beautiful, amazing children, and one of their treats that they like are pizza rolls. Tostino's pizza rolls. So imagine my surprise when I found out it's not Tostino's anymore, it's Totino's. Who doesn't like chocolate, right? Who doesn't like candy bars, okay? Seems to me like things that we thought were one way are another way, like Kit Kat. And there's no more dash in the middle there. I am a big coffee drinker, or I used to be, until I've tried to cut a lot of caffeine out of my diet. And what I used to do to treat myself was I'd buy a lot of Ready Whip. I loved Ready Whip. I used to put it right up on top, and I'd spray it, and I'd spray it in my mouth, and I'd loved it. Imagine my surprise when I found out that whip, we'll spell it in your mind, right? Ready, and then W-H-I-P. There's no H. We find that a lot of these products are it's just poor spelling. Now, my bologna had a first name. It was O-S-C-A-R. My bologna had a second name, M-E-Y-E-R. But turns out that now, in this timeline, in our reality, it's never been M-E-Y-E-R. It's M-A-Y-E-R. Oscar Mayer. I got to tell you something. There's that old joke, right, about people that are older, and sometimes that they can be a little smelly, right? And so the joke is, well, what do really old people smell like? And the answer is depends, right? Because adult diapers depends. Well, it turns out it's not depends anymore. It's always been depend. Now there's a lot of other products too. Fruit Loops. Yeah, it used to be spelled fruit, but now it's F-R-O-O-T. Band-Aid brand. I don't remember the little dash in the middle of the Band-Aid, do you? Speaking of Band-Aids, there's that great brand Curade. Curade, right? Curade Band-Aids? C-U-R-A-I-D? Turns out it's never been Curade, it's Curad. You all probably have bought paper towels in your day, and you probably bought Scott's towels. Well, next time you go to the store, make sure, because it's not called Scott's, never been called Scott's, always been called Scott towels. You remember that great OxyClean, right? Right? Because they use oxygen. If you spell oxygen, there's a Y in it, right? So it makes sense that we all remember it spelled O-X-Y, OxyClean. Not anymore. How about those days that you eat something and your belly just starts to hurt, right? And you have a little problem with your little tummy there. So you go and you grab your Imodium AD, right? Spell Imodium, I-M-M. You'd be wrong. How about those Skechers? Those awesome shoes, Skechers, right? Pronounce it Skechers. There's a T in there. There used to be a T, no more. Who doesn't love Oreo double stuffed cookies? I love Oreo double stuffed cookies, but I also like spelling double stuff with 2 F's. I remember it that way. There's only 1 F now. And that's just the beginning. I mean, not to mention, do you remember Cup of Noodles? It's no longer Cup of Noodles, it's Cup Noodles. Some say Captain Crunch. It's not Captain Crunch, it's Captain Crunch. I do want to point out something before we go into the logos that have changed, okay? Because the fact of the matter is, some of these things we could have remembered wrong. It is a possibility. But the overwhelming amount of people that are remembering all of these things completely wrong, it's mind-boggling. And the fact that we have the evidence right before us. We have CERN saying this is what they wanted to do. Not to mention in their video with a little smile on his face like some freak. The guy's sitting there with a Mandela sign and bond number 1. Thank you to all the people that sent me comments and told me that the first Bond, his last name was Nelson. Nelson Mandela, the Mandela Effect. This is being done right in front of us. And the irony is, it's kind of like it's become a joke. It's almost a joke. Some people have theories as to why it's happening. Could it be that they're trying to open up a new dimension to save us from Nibiru? Or, well, maybe there's other reasons for it. Who knows? But let me tell you something. There are like world events like the assassination of John F. Kennedy. People just don't remember there being 6 people in the motorcade. They remember 4. Let's talk about logos for a second, because the logos, they really freak me out. Staples, the Staples logo. I don't remember the L having a little hooky thing. The Volvo logo, all of a sudden it's like it's the male symbol. I always remember the Volvo symbol just being circular. I'm sure by now, if you know anything about the Mandela effect, you've seen the Ford logo. It looks weird. Just looks weird. And there are other things like Chevron. I remember Chevron, the letters being red and the colors kind of swapped. It's like Bizarro World. Volkswagen. Look at the Volkswagen logo. There was never a little slash in between the two. I mean, right now, so many people, including myself, are just going through so many hard times. It's just, this is almost a little bit too much for some people. And a lot of people, this is very disturbing to them, but I want you to know it's going to be okay. This is all part of the plan. There is a plan. There is something that is in place. God works all things together for the good of those that love them. And just because Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, just because the song, It's a Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, is no longer the neighborhood, it's this neighborhood, just because Sex in the City is now Sex and the City, just because it's no longer Mirror, Mirror on the Wall, but Magic Mirror on the Wall, just because Star Wars, Darth Vader says, "No, I'm your father," Just because C-3PO has a silver leg all of a sudden, and he's not always been gold from the beginning of time, he had a silver leg. Just because Curious George doesn't have a tail. Just because the Berenstain Bears is the Berenstain Bears. Just because Smokey the Bear was never Smokey the Bear, was just Smokey Bear. Daylight savings time is daylight saving time. Hitler's eye color, blue. When I was in school, we were taught what a hypocrite he was because he wanted the master race to have blonde hair and blue eyes, but yet he had dark hair and brown eyes. Then you have the celebrities, right? Superman? Who played Superman? Think about it. Yeah, that's right. Christopher Reeves. Turns out, it's Christopher Reeve. There's no S. Steven Seagal? Steven Seagal, the bone breaker? It's now like Steven Seagal. S-E-A-G-A-L. Doesn't make sense. Desi Arnaz? There's no E in Arnaz. Now there's an A. Of course, Shannon Doherty is different. Looney Tunes doesn't even make sense. We're talking about cartoons, but now it's T-U-N-E-S. Johnny Quest. What a cool show, right? There's no H in Johnny Quest anymore. Now, if you're a Johnny Depp fan, this is a great trivia question. Remember the movie Rum Diaries? Well, you probably don't remember because now it's called The Rum Diary. I started this video with the quote, "He who controls the past controls the future," by Orwell, And if we get to a point where we don't even know what's real and what's not, if we can't even trust our own memories, it'd be very easy for people to say, well, you're insane and lock you up. But here's the problem is that there's just an overwhelming amount of people that are having this problem. An overwhelming amount. It's not just me and a couple of others. I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people see things differently, remember them differently. We saw at the beginning, at the Oscars, David Letterman. When you're at the Oscars, you don't quote a famous line wrong, or otherwise it would be plastered in the newspaper. The author of a book doesn't call it the wrong name, but from the beginning of time, it's an interview with the vampire. It's never been that way. Now, the scripture changes, I found a lot more, and I wanted to get into that. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. It's always been plural, but now it is heaven. In Luke 22:20, Jesus talks about the cup of the new covenant. Now it's New Testament. In Acts 12:4, they talk about Easter. They were Jewish. They didn't celebrate Easter. They didn't know anything about Easter. And yet my old King James Bible, it says Easter now. From the beginning of time, Easter. They celebrated Passover. The sower goes out into the field and he sows good seed, and some of it falls among good earth. And the good earth, it's not the ground. It's the cares of the world. The thorns strangle the cares, plural, of the word. The thorns, the deceitfulness of riches, the cares of the world, like worrying about your bills, or worrying about this, or worrying about a spouse that wants to leave. The cares, the troubles of the world, that strangles. That's the thorn. The cares, not care, of the world. The scriptures have changed. When Jesus went into the temple and he saw them selling and exchanging. He said, you've turned my father's house into a marketplace. And in another book, he calls it a den of thieves. But now it is, don't turn my father's house into a place that sells merchandise. It doesn't make any sense. We're from a different timeline and we've been inserted, or a different timeline and events have been inserted. That would explain why some people, they remember things differently. There are some people that I've talked to that don't see any of these the way I do. But a majority of them do. A majority of them don't remember the Home Depot. They remember Home Depot. And the list goes on and on. I wanted to give a comprehensive list because I want everybody to really think about this. I want people to pray about this. I want people to tell other people about this. Share this video, get it out there. There are other people that are doing videos on this as well. Research it. Because every day we're finding more and more and more of these changes. It's like people are changing today. Times are hard. The world's a mess. People are suffering. Earthquakes, wars, volcanoes, meteors. I mean, it's like cats and dogs living together. The world, birth pangs. And there are people, whether you want to call them the sinister powers that be, you want to call them the Illuminati, whatever you want to say, whether they have nefarious plans or whether what they're doing right now is actually for our good, because we don't know. And the reason we don't know is because no one is being transparent. We need transparency. When these senior physicists and scientists are saying they're trying to open up new dimensions and they're succeeding, is it any wonder that there have been changes? And after this video, after you've seen all of this, go back and look at them again. Is it any wonder? I remember the Gordon's fishermen. I have 2 dogs. Bulldogs. They stink. I use Febreze with 2 E's. Febreze with 2 E's. And yet from the beginning of time, not to mention Johnny Walker. Not that I'm a drinker, I don't drink anymore. I haven't drank for years. I'm a little blown away by everything that I've found out. And I encourage you all to dig a little deeper. All I wanted to do was, show everyone that there is more. And that's why I think we need to right now. We need to go within and we need to pray and we need to seek God and we need to say, Lord, teach me the truth no matter what the cost. I never ever talk about revolution in the world. I always talk about a revolutionized thinking. We need to love more than ever before. We need to have hope and we need to have faith, and we do not need to be scared, because there is nothing to be scared of, because God is in control and always has been. And I love you all, and I hope that you all share this video around. So for those people that say blah blah blah, you're wrong, 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 and bop 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 bop, you say, well, just take a look at this. And then go scour the internet for more. My novel's available. It's called The Calling. Please do check it out. I don't do these videos to make money or anything else. For the people that say that, say what you want, whatever. Doesn't really matter. You watch the video for free, but I am a pretty awesome author. And my novel, there's more to it than meets the eye. It's called The Calling, the Book of Thomas James, for a reason. It's available on Amazon. I ask you all to go there. And, I'll be doing a trailer for it soon. And there's something more to that book than just being an awesome, inspiring thrill ride. There's a hidden treasure within it. And when it catches fire and everyone begins to read this book, and we will find out that this has all been part of a greater plan that I certainly could not have orchestrated, because I don't control anything. And those people that are trying to control the past or control the present or control us all, it's all going according to God's will. I love you all.